All right, folks, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Will the EGA honored U.S. Ambassador to Belgium, Bill White, with the King David Award at EGA's annual conference in Brussels following his public defense of Jewish religious freedoms. I should make mention, over 100 Jewish leaders gathered to address rising anti-Semitism and push for a special protected minority status for Jews in Europe. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Rabbi Menachem Margolin. He is right here on the LZ. Rabbi, it is always good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you.
You just honored, as you heard me make mention, U.S. Ambassador Bill White with the EGA King David Award, and this award was previously given to Boris Johnson, to name a few. What Ambassador White did, quite honestly, is, well, many would argue, unlike any other, so much so that, well, it got your attention as well, sir.
Yeah, well, actually, U.S. Ambassador to Belgium, Bill White, did is what others did not do, which is to stand strong and to speak for the truth, for the freedom of religion, and for the right thing and the rights that the Jewish people in Europe deserve, which is something that unfortunately is on battle, and too many European leaders does not do what they have to do to ensure Jewish continuity on this continent.
How significant, sir, is it to really have a sitting American ambassador that really stands strong and really stands true with regard to, well, making sure that anti-Semitism comes to an end?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, when we speak to European leaders and we ask for the things that should be clear, that the Jewish people deserve to be secured, to be safe, the Jewish institutions have to be secured, that freedom of religion have to be respected. When those things, those morality are not clear to some European leaders, it is crucial that the ambassador of the great empire, the United States of America, will speak and will raise their awareness and their attention and basically succeed to do what, unfortunately, we failed for too long, which is to raise the awareness of decision makers in Belgium. And despite the public criticism over his words, they did move, I would say, faster and increase already the security in the Jewish neighborhood and around Jewish institutions. And for that, we are very, very grateful.
Sir, one of the things you have been quite vocal about, it happens to surround all things with regard to Jewish communities, can no longer really rally on shifting political landscapes for their security. And I say that because you also stated that our future is in someone else's hands. This is a stark statement, and I'm really curious what you mean by that.
You know, if you ask any Jewish person you know, he will tell you that almost every generation, the Jewish families were born in other countries. I was born in one country, my father was born in another country, my grandfather was living in another country, and it's go on and on for most of the Jewish people. And the reason is because Jewish people always had to choose a place that will be safe for them, and they started to build the families and build or at least they thought they are building the future. Then another politician came when another policies have been changed, a political party would join a specific trend, and then the place become much less secured for Jewish people, and that was the time for the Jewish people to move to another country. And what we see today is that actually the very day-to-day life of Jewish people in Europe is dependent on politicians, whether they now in favor or not in favor of the Jewish people for whatever reason is. And therefore, basically, what we see is that we cannot actually control, I mean, how a person, how a community could build a future if everything, if the land, our needs keep shifting. So what we need is much more than just a good willing of one political party or other, which might be changed, because even good friends in power that we have now, we have no idea what's going to happen to them in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years. So what we need is our rights to be really structured and secured as part of the Constitution, something that we could really rely on and build our future, not only for ourselves, but also for our children and grandchildren to come.
Yeah. Rabbi, it's no secret. The EGA is now pushing for a formal special protected minority status for Jews really across Europe. And it's really enshrined in law, not subject to whether, or shall I say, whoever wins the next election. What would that actually look like if implemented?
That means that the security of Jewish institutions will be done by governments. Not the victims have to pay for their own security. That means that governments do care for Jewish future, and therefore they invest in Jewish culture and Jewish education and synagogues. That means that freedom of religion is secured, and not that we have to fight against politicians that for different trendy reason decide to ban ritual slaughter or male circumcision, which is something that we have to do almost every week because of another politician who would like to become famous and look at this fight against Jewish people as a platform to become important. So this is what we need. We need Europe to understand and decide and to be determined to really want to have Jewish life on this continent. And if they want it, again, we cannot just, let's say that now we have a nice prime minister somewhere who is in favor of the Jewish people and really sees the importance and the contribution of the Jewish people to the country. And he continued to say, well, Belgium without Jews is not Belgium, and Europe without Jews is not Europe. But if you do nothing, or even if you do something that might be changed by another politician 2 years from now, then it means nothing. So what we really need, and for this I really grateful to the U.S. administration, and we had with us not only Bill White, but also Ambassador Rabbi Yehuda Kaplan, who is U.S. ambassador to monitoring about global anti-Semitism with us in this conference. And their support and their voice is so important that at this point, when we see so much ignorance in Europe, we really wish to continue see the support of the U.S. administration, and we firmly believe that only with the U.S. administration we can finally secure a much better future for the Jewish people of Europe.
Rabbi, we'll end with this, and that is I want to divert our attention to what's currently taking place in Iran. And we know that the war began on February 28th when the U.S. and Israel struck Iran and killed the supreme leader. Iran then, well, retaliated, shooting, in essence, firing missiles across the region. From your vantage point in Brussels, sir, did European Jewish communities really feel a direct impact from that escalation?
Very sadly, every time that there is tension in the Middle East, the Jewish people in Europe feel it on the spot. We immediately see much more tension, many more attacks, many more people who feel comfortable to express hatred towards Jewish people. And sadly, that European people do see European Jews responsible for conflicts in the Middle East. And it's not the same for any other conflict in the world. At this moment, there are many conflicts in the world. I don't think that anybody ever attacked a Chinese person in the United States of America for the conflict between China and Taiwan. I don't think that any Russian person was attacked in the United States because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And I did not see any other people from other religion or other countries that the countries or the governments are involved with any conflict being attacked for the policy of the government. I don't think that any American person in Europe were lately attacked because somebody does not like the United States policy on Iran. However, Jewish people who are not even Israelis, just because they carry the same soul and the same Jewish identity, are being attacked on a daily basis everywhere in Europe. And that's something that which is terrible, of course. But sadly, we are, I would say, not the first, but maybe the second level victim for any conflict in the Middle East, which is something that, of course, have to be not only condemned, but stopped immediately by the European governments.
And we'll have to leave it right there. Yet again, Rabbi Menachem Margolin joining us right here on the Live Zone. I truly appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.